Hey, as the title says, I once had a nervous breakdown and survived it. It was probably the most difficult time in my life. For those who don't know me, my name is Joe, and I am out here trying to bring awareness to mental illness. Um, I'm also a life coach, health and nutrition coach, so I'm trying to make other videos about um, how to stay healthy. I lost 80 pounds, how I keep it off. But this video here today is to talk about how I got here, the struggles I went through, and maybe it'll help you. It's going to be a pretty detailed video. I'm not sure how many people are going to want to watch it, but I think it's important uh, that I talk about this so people can understand that I'm coming from a place of experience. I'm not a therapist or a psychiatrist, but I am out here trying to help people and spread awareness. So, I suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, mostly intrusive thoughts, where I take, there's thoughts that pop in my head, and to me, they become as real as, this Diet Coke can. Uh, Even though they are not who I am or something that I would ever do, intrusive thoughts from OCD can be debilitating, and they can basically, make your life non-functional. It's a very difficult thing. So, like I said, I battled it my whole life. I started with it when I was a teenager. I'm 55 years old now. Nobody back when I was a teenager talked about OCD. I don't think anybody knew what it was. Everybody talked about OCD, washing your hands 50 times a day, or doing certain rituals, and that's a form of OCD also, but it's not the kind that I'm talking about. Um, in any case, I battled things along the way. I had all of the thoughts that are typical with having OCD: the fear of harming yourself, the fear of harming other people, questioning sexuality, um, all the typical ones, all the common ones. And so that led me to thinking one time that I had pancreatic cancer. And I was convinced. And one thing I can say is that your brain can make your body believe anything. It is amazing. Our brain is such an unbelievable tool that we could use for positivity. And unfortunately, when you suffer from a mental illness, it sometimes leads us to just live a very difficult life you know, that we don't need to. I mean, there's just help and there's resources. So anyway, fast forward, to the whole pancreatic cancer thing. This happened back in the mid 2000s. I was convinced that I had it. I don't know what brought it on. Maybe it was Michael Landon dying or Patrick Swayze. I don't remember who. But I was driving to work one day and I just said, I have it. I mean, it was as simple as that. I have it. Um, and so you can see the trend, right? It had impacted all of my relationships that I've ever had. Um, and why is that? Because I would picture my girlfriends, wives, whatever. Yeah, I've been married more than once. I would picture them with their exes in my head, and I would have to know, why they did what they did. Why did they have sex with this person? How could they have done that? What made them decide to do that with this person? And I'd want to know I'd ask questions that I really didn't want to know the answers to. But you're looking for an answer that's never going to satisfy you, ever. And you will keep searching and keep searching, even with the pancreatic cancer. You're looking at, I was researching this topic from the minute I woke up in the morning to the minute I went to bed, non-stop. looking for an answer that would say, hey, you don't have it, you're okay. And it wasn't until I finally went to the doctor's and broke down in his office and cried, basically saying, I'm dying of pancreatic cancer. And he looked at me and he said, Joe, I've seen many patients with pancreatic cancer, and there's no doubt that it's a very difficult and devastating form of cancer. And you don't look like any of the patients I've ever seen. Meaning I walked in there, I looked healthy, my blood work, everything was fine. And just to humor me, I think he sent me for an x-ray, which probably at the time whatever it was, it helped me get over it. That doctor has since retired, but I had been with him since I was a teenager, and he always knew the right things to say and do. And that's why it's always important to have a good doctor. Now, this was my primary physician at the time, but he is the one who prescribed my first antidepressant for me. And, it worked. But I cannot express enough that I think that you should be in therapy if you suffer from mental illness. And I think that you should work with a psychiatrist when it comes to medication. They just know an awful lot about what medications, there's an art form to it to get you on the right meds to solve your problem. If the medication route is the route you're going to go. I have to do that. I don't function well without it. So that sets the stage, and I'm going to fast forward now to 2016. I was with my second wife, and we had some problems, and we separated, and we were going to get divorced. I was obsessed with her. It was a definite obsession. I would drive by her house. All day, all night. I'd leave work. I'd drive by her house. I just could not stop myself. And I kept doing it over and over again. There was nights where I would be out till 3 or 4 in the morning, just driving by. I'd have to fill my car 2 or 3 times because I just couldn't stop. It got to a point where I was calling her constantly, every freaking minute, every hour, whatever it was. And did she maybe enjoy this a little bit? Maybe. I don't blame other people for my issues, but so I'm going to refrain from doing that. But in any case, there wasn't a lot there to do to kind of snap me out of it. I'll just leave it at that. So this kept going on for quite a while, and then she started seeing another person, and she kept telling me they were just friends, and of course that led me into choosing a different reality in my head, and pictured them having sex, pictured her bent over a chair or whatever, not to be too graphic, but making what I thought was the realistic situation in my head, which could have been, for all I know, but it made me crazy. There were nights where I, was driving around under the influence of much anxiety medicine. I was a danger to myself. That meant me a danger to other people on the road. I was not thinking. Like literally all aspects of logical thinking were out the door. And so I made an attempt to take my own life. And I took a bunch of pills, and next thing you know, I wake up in the emergency room of a hospital. And one thing I can say is my therapist told me that I could sell a car to a used car salesman. I ended up in their mental ward. They can only keep you for 72 hours. And I convinced them that I'm okay. Like, I just wanted to go to sleep. I just took some of this stuff, and I was just hoping to, I hadn't been sleeping well, so I was hoping to really fall asleep and get some sleep. Now, I want to let you know that I ended up in this mental hospital because somebody called in a safety check on me, thank God. Uh, the police busted my door down and came in and got me. Now, I don't remember any of that. I don't. The only thing I remember about that is I remember walking downstairs, and this is like a fuzzy memory, but I remember walking down the stairs of my apartment, and there was guns pointed at me. And I think, I don't know, that's probably hard for anybody to forget. But past that, I don't remember anything. I know that there was people that came into the hospital that night to visit me. They said I woke up and talked to them. Don't remember any of that. I just know that I woke up in this room in the hospital going, what the fuck is going on? Like, where am I and why am I here? Like, what the hell happened? And so I'm not sure how much I should it was a suicide attempt, but I'm not really sure how much of a suicide attempt it was. It's not like I took a whole bottle of sleeping pills. I probably took, I don't want to get into the details of what I did, but in any case, I got admitted to the mental hospital, and in 3 days, I was out. Okay? And I swore, I'm like, I am never going back there again. Because what they do in these places is they take people who are maybe going through an issue like I was going through, and another person that maybe, I don't know, tried to slit their own throat, or really has some disturbance, and they put them all together. Like, you're all together in the same lunchroom, and I don't know, it's a very bizarre situation. And it felt like prison. Like, I wasn't allowed to wear my shoes. I had to give up my shoelaces, my belt, everything. And I'm like, I'm never going back there again. I got out, and my behavior continued. It continued down this path, and I could not stop. I was still following my ex. I was still, trying to figure out what she was doing, when she was doing it, leaving her voicemails that I will say she replayed back to me months later, or not even months later, weeks later, days later, that I don't even remember leaving them. I mean, I remember hearing them, and they actually scared me. I sounded like I sounded like a completely different person. It was just bizarre to me that I was doing things that I didn't remember doing, like complete blackout. Driving around in a car, complete blackout. I have periods of time in my life that are gone, that I have no memory of because of this episode. So because that continued, I ended up being taken by ambulance once again to an emergency room, and I played it off like it's just, it's my crazy ex-wife she's pissed at me. She's mad at me, like, listen. And fortunately, on this particular evening, I didn't have a bunch of Xanax in my system. I didn't have much of anything in my system. And they're like, you know what, you're right. You don't belong here. Again, talked my way out of it. I should have been there. Different hospital this time. A couple weeks later, I end up back in the same mental hospital that I was the first time. And this time, the psychiatrist that was working with me was a little tougher to crack. He made me stay and I was in there for more than 3 days. I had to stay a weekend, which was the first time I ever spent a weekend in one of these places, and I just wanted out. And I just kept trying to scheme how I was going to get out. How am I going to get out of here, right? And I basically finally realized what he was looking for. And he was looking for me to take responsibility of why I was there. I don't know how I caught on to that, but I did. And I was off to the side talking to him one time, and I just said, you know what? I'm here because of my actions. And I'm here because of the things that I did, and I have nobody to blame but myself. I didn't believe a fucking word of what I was saying to him. But he believed me. He believed me. And boom, I was released. And all I knew was that I wanted to get back to doing what I was doing. I wanted to see my wife at the time, and I was doing whatever it was going to take to get back. I showed up at her house and asked her if her and this guy were a couple now, and she told me they were. And I went off the deep end. Again, now I want to remind you of something. I'm not a violent person. I've never hurt a person in my life. I've never even been in a fist fight. In my entire life, I'm 55 years old. I've never been in a fist fight. And so I never physically hurt her. I never, did anything like that. But she was scared, and I don't blame her for being scared. I was in a different state of mind completely. So on this particular day that I showed up at her house, I was, kept calling her at work, and I kept asking her to talk to me, and she finally agreed to do so. Luckily for me, little did I know, she had reached out to my therapist, who had pretty much given up on me too. I still see him, and I don't blame him. He just was like, I don't know what else to do. This guy needs to be in a program to get right. And, the medication wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. So I ended up in a different mental hospital altogether. And I am from the Connecticut area, and I ended up in the Institute of Living that's part of Hartford Hospital in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, I tried every trick in the book, but let me tell you something about Institute of Living. They don't fuck around. And they didn't buy the bullshit that I was selling. And I remember throwing everything at this psychiatrist when I was talking to him, throwing every excuse I could to try to get out. Everything that had worked for me in the past to get out of there. And it wasn't working. I remember it was this Indian psychiatrist, and he was probably one of the smartest guys I ever knew. And he looked at me and he said, if you want out of here, I'll sign the papers right now. He says, but this is what's happened to you in the other two places. He says, but if you really want out, I'll sign the papers for you right now. But I guarantee you, you're going to be back in a couple days. Do you want me to sign those papers? And there was something about the look in his eyes. Something about the look in his eyes that made me say, no. No, I don't want you to sign these papers. I do want to back up before that I left this out. There were other suicide attempts. And again, I don't know how serious I was, and I'm not going to get into the details of what I tried to do. But there were other attempts that I just wanted to just go away. I have two kids, and I wasn't even thinking of them. I mean, nothing. I wasn't thinking of anything else. I was so focused on, I need to be back with this woman. I have to be back in this house. This guy's got to go. You know, I nothing. Driving around recklessly. So she called my psychologist, and I ended up, she agreed to talk to me, and I met her. And by the time I got there, I had already taken 13 Tylenol PMs, and I was driving around like that. I don't remember the trip. I don't remember driving around. I don't remember finally meeting her. Apparently, she kept calling me, trying to tell me where she was. Apparently, I wasn't getting it. I was a fucking mess, right? And so I finally pulled into where she was, and she had an ambulance and a police waiting there for me. And so that's how I ended up in Iowa. And I almost talked myself out of that ambulance. That ambulance guy got out and went over to the cop and to my ex and said, everything's checking out with this guy. Like, I had an answer for everything. I was actually felt myself slurring my words as I was talking to this guy. I mean, I was like, and I couldn't stop. Like, I knew I was slurring my speech, and I couldn't not do it. I was aware of that. It was so bizarre. Anyway, I didn't know that he had gone out and said all that. All right, now let's fast forward. Now I'm in IOL. They're not buying the bullshit I'm selling. And I said I didn't want to leave. This program saved my life. It saved my life. I decided that there was no way I was going to get any better unless I threw myself into the therapy that they were offering. Right? Now, in the meantime, what was still not right about me is I said, if I can just get myself better, I can get her back. I just need to get myself well and make more sense of things. And then she'll take me back. Right? So I went into that, and then I thought that was followed up by outpatient therapy. They were starting me on all kinds of new medications. They treated me. They were so kind at this place. I will never forget that, and I will truly always be grateful to the people at Institute of Living as the way they treated you. They didn't treat you as a crazy person. They didn't treat you as like a prisoner. They treated you as a human being, and I can't say enough for the way I was treated. So this is, you're talking 2016, and I don't know how it is now. I'm sure it's the same way, but they were amazing. After a week, the insurance company, because insurance companies rule the school, they were like, he's got to go. And the doctors didn't want to let me go, but they were like, he's got to go. It's been in there long enough. I got out. I agreed to do outpatient therapy. Luckily, the place that I was working at agreed to let me do like a split shift, because this outpatient therapy was during the day. And so I would go to work early in the morning, I would go to therapy, and then I would come back and I would finish my day. I'm truly indebted to the company that I worked for before, when I was going on with this. It was, they were amazing to me also. I'm not going to say their name because I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do either, but I will say that they were amazing to me. And I will never forget that. The doctor told me in the Institute that I was having a psychotic episode. And how he explained it to me was that my brain had detached from reality. And the detached brain is what was controlling all of my actions. It's a very dangerous place to be in. A very dangerous place to be in. Because you're not thinking with any rationality at all. at all. I get out of the mental hospital, and I'm in my, I'm in my apartment. Still was not doing all that well, but I was doing better. Uh, Lo and behold, after, oh, I had a restraining order put on me that was supposed to be 60 or 90 days. I don't remember. But then again, here I found myself waiting for my ex-wife to get out of work one day, and signaled, on the highway, and got her to agree to talk to me. And the next thing you know, we started talking again while I had a restraining order on me. And then there was times where she'd let me back in the house while I had a restraining order on me. Also, while she was still seeing another guy. Eventually, we got back together, right? We got back together. After all this madness, we get back together. The divorce had gone through. We actually walked into the courthouse as husband and wife and walked out as boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah, it is as crazy as it sounds. It is. In the meantime, I continued with my therapy. I continued working with my psychiatrist. And as time went on, I got stronger and stronger mentally, and started to look around and see what was going on. There was an issue with my kids and my my ex-wife. They didn't want anything to do with her. She really didn't want anything to do with them. And I realized that I was losing a relationship with my children. And I knew I had to make a change. And it took me, like I said, it took me a year and a half after us getting back together to figure that out. And so I ended the relationship. And we were going to try to be friends. We were going to try to be friends. And a relationship that was as toxic and as much of a roller coaster as we had, it was impossible to be friends. Big blowout, and we don't talk anymore, which is fine. We shouldn't talk. It's she has her life, I have mine. I now am married to a woman who is my guardian angel, my ray of sunshine, my everything. She makes me whole. She is the most important thing to me, other than my kids, but she's my everything, and I can't believe that I am as lucky as I am to have her. I want to say that I am happier now than I've ever been before. I look back at that time in 2016 and cannot believe that I was that man. That dark. When you're in that darkness, it's the feeling you have is indescribable. Other than those who have been there know what I'm talking about. It's a constant feeling of weight on your shoulders. It's unbelievable. And I can't believe I was that guy. I've always been the guy who's been happy-go-lucky. I joke around. I mess with people all the time. We have a blast. I have a good time in my life. And, I love life. I love life. I love my life. I love my friends. I love my family. I don't have any ill will towards anybody from my past, because that's just holding on to hate and anger, and that's just completely unhealthy. So that's my story. Uh, there's probably a lot of details I left out, not on purpose. I didn't write a script for this. I just winged it. I don't know how many people are going to see this. Maybe nobody. But this is my video diary of what my life with OCD, my breakdown, my suicide attempts, and then my comeback. And now I'm out here, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and I'm trying to spread the message about mental illness because there's not enough awareness for it. So I urge you to join, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I urge you to go out and subscribe to my TikTok channel. I think it's at Joe Dillon07. I should know that before I started this video. But I feel that together we could help save lives. I have only about 460 something followers on TikTok, and on this channel I only have 2 followers. But I'm never going to give up because people need to know that there is help out there. I'm a true example of that. I was in the darkest of dark, and now I'm in the highest of highs. I love my life, and I just want to help everybody else. So I will continue to make videos out here. Some will be about mental health. Some will be about physical health because I've gone through a major physical transformation, which is tied into my solid mental health recovery. And, that's what this channel is going to be all about. So now you know my story. And I hope that maybe it helped some of you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I love you all. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. And hey, please subscribe. If you're seeing this, subscribe. It's just going to get better. It's just going to get better, and we're gonna do good out here. Love you.